Hello and welcome to the Panda Man Rants on Life. This is a new idea I had that's kind of like a podcast, but I'm also going to be including some video games in the background now with the magic of video editing. This episode I will be showing sleeping dogs and what horrible gameplay I have of sleeping dogs. It was bad. I forgot how to play, apparently. You can either watch or listen to me, Curio, that's Curio with a K, expressing my opinion on matters of the world while my friends sit back and laugh. Today, we have my fiancé, the Fox Pirate.
Howdy.
My longtime friend, Tinkerjet.
Hi.
And that big fat gerbil-faced guy who smells like peanut butter and beer, Max Spad. Yes, exactly. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, no complaining here. He technically got the best intro. All right. So, in this show, I will talk about something that pisses me off, something that doesn't piss me off, and random thoughts and imaginations with phrases that will make it pretty obvious as to what. Alright. You know what pisses me off? Hardcore gamers. Whoa, wait a minute, no! You're a hardcore gamer, Panda Man! Bad dog, sit down. That's not what I'm talking about. Hardcore gamers are actually guys who sit down and play video games for long periods of time. But now it's applied to like college dorks sitting down and playing Call of Duty and Halo. And it's become associated with like M-rated games and hardcore violence and blood. And no, a more accurate description of these guys would be like jock gamers, big dumb college guys, like, you're on a chainsaw dude's face, and then teabag him, blah, 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 blah. And don't get me started on the homosexuality of machoism. That's later. Promise. This isn't something that you'll normally hear among gamers themselves, but rather the reporters and representatives in the industry. You hear a lot of it from spokespersons at E3. All of these guys fit under a group I like to call the derping, idiotic, penis-sucking, hypocrite, and cognizant of technology, or dipshits, for short. But seriously, when an RPG comes out with 100 hours of gameplay, nobody talks about it as a hardcore game, especially a JRPG with little girls face-raping sentient jelly beans with rainbow lollipops. Every announcement of a new system, for the hardcore gamers, we got Shoot My Dick 3, and Ass Grenades 5000, and Zombie Fuck My Face 2. The first one it yelled for a sequel. All those guys saying that the Wii doesn't have any hardcore games like Skyward Sword was a fucking casual game, you know? So why? The standard isn't, holy shit, I can't feel my legs and I smell funny, and what happened to 2012? It's, if I can't ass rate this alien dildoian with some sharp and metallic thing that runs on gasoline, then it's a pussy little casual game for faggoty little fairy fudge packers. Like, when did this happen? Granted, there was like no variation of gamer in the SNES days, just lonely, sad, and slightly pale from lack of sunlight. Oh, Samus, you'll always be there for me. But I sat down and I played Final Fantasy 6, fuck Square Enix, for 10 hours a day for weeks on end, and that's not hardcore? Well, apparently not unless I can blow up some dude's dick and recap it in slow motion so I can call up my stupid friends on the shittiest quality microphone possible and be like,
Hardcore used to be specific to RPG players, wasn't it?
It used to, but now it's become enveloped in this idea that it's got to be like multiplayer enthusiastic, and granted long periods of time are still associated with it, but it's only like you never look at a Zelda game and everybody's like, oh, that's not hardcore, that's not for the hardcore gamers. Call of Duty, you know, that's what I'm talking about. And that's why I think there needs to be like a redefinition of hardcore. And I think jock gamers works just fine, right? These guys put in Madden in their freaking I'm always watching you box 720 and eat beer and chicken wings like they're watching a real freaking game. Hardcore gamers are just that, fans of Mega Man and Castlevania or any other game that's 200 hours of gameplay minus side quests. They're used to dying alone in the dark of their parents' basement. And I salute you, hardcore gamers. Maybe one day you'll meet a nice hardcore girl gamer and... Oh, yeah, no. Anyways, you know what doesn't piss me off? Valve. At the time of this recording, this is the week after the release of, like, these 3 big pieces of news that add up to probably 1/3 of any useful information. But they released some news that they're going to make an operating system, a console system, and a controller. I gotta say that it's kind of refreshing in a world of Nintendo did all this and made $1 million, so let's do it too! That somebody comes up with an original idea. I'm looking at you, PlayStation 3 with your dick stick. It's like, it's like shooting a real gun. Yeah, sure it is. You know, half of these aren't really that absurd an idea. You know, why is the concept of I'm not happy with the RAM in my machine, I want to put some more in, met with fuck you, ban your account, burn your machine, report you to the authorities, and kill your family? And, you know, the thing is that consoles used to have dedicated systems to games. That was the shtick versus PC. With a PC, there's the overhead of the operating system and the drivers and the other programs running in the background. But with a console, when you drew something to the screen, you just dumped it directly into that address in memory, and it drew. Sorry, apparently I'm going to get a little software engineering on you. But now, they want their own operating system so that your gay station can play music while you're watching porn and playing your hardcore games, and it's got the same overhead as a freaking PC. I mean, the shit doesn't even shut down when you boot up the game. You just push a button and pause the game and go back to watching Slutty McSlutterton 12. Again, you know, 11 just screamed for a sequel. So, as you know, this might all be related to people being lazy. Like, to me, TVs have 400 plugs in the back. You've got your hum-da-I cables, and this doesn't do what I want cables, and what the fuck do I do with this cable? So, you have your own console, your MP3 player, and your Pornomatic plugged into the TV directly, and you just hit input to switch between them. No, I don't want to push a button. It's too inconvenient to set a CD player next to me. Whoa! CDs! How old are you, buddy? But Steam is going to be the opposite direction and getting rid of everything except the essentials for running Steam, and surprise, they've got a performance increase. Herp-a-derp-a-doo, who'da thunk it? It's only that which we knew from the fucking 80s. I think it's all really exciting, though. Although there are a lot of mixed reviews about the controller, God forbid you break away from the freaking norm. There's no analog sticks, and the button placement, I have to hit the trigger to jump, and I don't even know how to... Do I lick it? Yeah. But looking at this thing, I will require... it'll take some time to get used to it, and it'll take time to get used to the new concept. Since the trackpads aren't awkward to push, they could, like, become legitimate buttons versus the freaking analogs on the Xbox where, instead of pushing, you just kind of like push it to the freaking side with your thumb. It's like, no, I wanted to press R3 or L3 or whatever the hell it is. Not even a button. It's just punching the analog stick until I break the controller. And, so, like, the most basic game like Mario, you could press the B button to run would be like holding in the left trackpad and moving it to the right. And then the right trackpad isn't going to do crap because it's freaking Mario, so it becomes the new jump button. And, does that really sound so bad? It's just a new concept. Of course, I guess they really didn't give a shit about fighting games because they're like, we'll take on Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, but let's leave Mad Catz alone. One way or the other, you just have to get used to it. Maybe it's not a big deal to me because the upgrade from the NES to the SNES was, holy shit, 4 buttons! It's not all gumdrops and lollipops and bunnies butt-fucking puppies, though. Let's face it. This week's news was information we suspected, they already told us, and something we didn't want. When Microsoft officials' statement to anyone wanting their own digital distribution was, fuck you, and Steam said, I like Linux, we kind of saw that Steam OS was coming. I mean, we just didn't know it was dedicated to TVs. They already fucking said they were making the Steam box. I guess the big reveal was that it was a Steam machine. Wah! Well, that and 10 other unnamed companies are making them. Cool. Panasonic can make a cheap $100 one for me. I'm sure it'll be just as successful as the Ouya. And PC gamers don't want to stop using keyboards, and console gamers don't want a new freaking gamepad, so I think they're just really hoping that we don't know that we want it, and once we hold it in our hands, our initial reaction will be, I'll never touch my cock again. But really, they didn't really release any new information. We've made another Linux! Yay! And we're selling PCs with it, and not Windows. Yay! And we got an extraneous peripheral to add to your collection of 800 controllers and remotes. Cool, right? Yeah. But what is actually exciting is the potential for new ideas and options. With Microsoft and Sony consistently having a dick measuring contest and Nintendo releasing a new system without a Zelda game with it and saying, why isn't this selling? It would be nice to twiddle my thumbs on an RTS at my TV. It'd be cool. I'll admit it. It'd be cool. And now it's time for the part of the show where I have a random thought and present it as fact through a thesis. You know, that thing you learned in school that everyone told you you'd never use? No, not calculus, silly. And not physics either. No, it's not Asian history, goddammit. Anyways, my thesis today is that 10 times out of 10, homophobes are actually latent homosexuals. I will be presenting logos in the form of direct proof with an inferred deduction that I am a heterosexual. I know. It's hard to believe. Just work with me here on that, alright? Allow the argument that homophobes are afraid of homosexuals and represent this through hate. This, of course, being to hide the fact that they're actually afraid. It's a common human practice. For instance, I am afraid of spiders, and therefore smash them under heel with a violently fiery passion so that the denizens of the freaking underworld go, did you hear that? Assume that the cause of the fear is irrelevant as to whether or not they are homosexual. If daddy beats your hindquarters with a belt because you got frisky with his Navy buddies, then he'll be damned if any son of his is going to have that degree of fun despite the ironic fact that you kind of like what he's doing because you've been a bad little boy. It doesn't affect the fact that you're still gay. So that leaves the signs of homosexuality in the behaviors of the homophobe. This queer fear is shown to predominantly be in the minds of the homophobe. They harp on homosexuals and they speak out against them. They go to great pains to let you know that it's wrong, just in case you weren't aware. It consumes their lives. Now, take for example, me. Yes, a heterosexual male. I don't give a good goddamn about gays. I don't care. Whatsoever. I don't care. So what? Whatever. I think stereotypical ones are funny. Hey, hey, hey. And that's the majority of the deduction. If you care so much about gays, then you're gay. I'm passionate about games, and I think about them all the time, and I want to join communities that like the same games as I do. If you go to a meeting with other people and all hate gays together, then you care too much about gays and not enough about women, and subsequently are gay, by definition. Oh boy, I can't wait to go to my anti-gay meeting. We're going to talk about how wrong and gross sodomy is. What do you think I should wear, honey? Oh, I hope Tom is going to be there. He hates gays so much. He's got this really cute swastika tramp stamp on his lower back. What do you mean, why was I looking there? This is my favorite one of all, and I've actually been told this before by more than one person, too. And I quote, I don't want to have to see it or think about it. Really? I mean, you might see a gay couple kiss in public, but to see any of the gross stuff, you have to go into a gay bar or look it up online, or play Counter-Strike. This could be avoided by not typing in big fat black floppy dicks and dildos in your Google search bar. There, now you don't have to see it. Also, if no one but groups of men in short cutoff jeans are going into a bar called Lick the Plucker, don't follow them in, unless you want to find out what the hell that means. And why are you thinking about gays if you aren't gay? You know what I spend all day thinking about? Boobs! Big, bouncing, bubbly boobies. I fucking love those things. I think about them all day long. Stick my face in them and go, goddamn boobies, man. Mm-mm-mm. But that's me, over here, being straight. I mean, what's more obvious than a man sitting around grumbling, grr, I can't believe I have to think about all this butt sex all the time. God, I hate it. It's so gross. Straight guys don't have that problem. They have a different problem with the whole boobs thing. But that's not a problem, really. It's a goddamn good use of your time, I'd say. So it can all be deduced that the very actions that cause hateful outbursts from homophobes are what show homosexuality. But wait a minute, Curio, you say. What about the people just hating on gays because they were taught that way? Poppycock, says I. And here's why. Look up person in a Webster's dictionary, and the only specifically coherent definition you'll see will be the composite of characteristics that make up an individual personality, the self. The self, not the other guy's opinion. People who walk around following a latently homosexual homophobe are like cattle. And they are just that, cattle. Without the ability to think for themselves, they define themselves as something other than a person, by definition of a person. So an argument of sign here, a person who is a homophobe because he is told to be a homophobe is not a person, leaving only people who are homophobic that are in fact homophobes 100% of the time by argument of deduction. Thank you. You may applaud. Thank you.
Yay!
Pretend I'm bowing.
Cows.
That's going to wrap things up for today. I'd like to thank Foxy and Tink for being here. I'd also like to thank you guys for listening or watching, whichever it was. And so, until next time, I am Curio, aka the Panda Man, reminding you that ranting is a release of stress and that stress can kill. See yas!